Hello guys, you're welcome to my channel once again, and today I want to quickly show you what a function is in JavaScript. So in case you're very new to programming or JavaScript, you don't know what function is, in this very tutorial I'm going to basically tell you what function is, how you can create a function in JavaScript, and what they do. And this is a very basic beginner level tutorial about function, and you can do well to check the documentation. You can do well to read about functions online, and you get more grasp on it. So basically I'll tell you what the function is in JavaScript and how you can quickly create one, and I will also show you that real quick here. So we'll create a function now quickly. I'll go to my board, explain what a function is, how it look like, and then I'll create one on my code editor. You can follow me and code as well. So let me go to my board and quickly show you what the function is in JavaScript. Now, in JavaScript, function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. Function, I take it once again, is a block of code that is designed to perform a particular task. So that is what that is the basic definition of a function. You actually create a function, and then it's actually there to help you perform a particular task. Now, an application have several functions. You can have more than one function that make up your application. Now, take for instance on your mobile phone, you can have a function for the power button. When you long press it, it should come up. You can have a function when you double tap. You want a particular event or a particular task to take place. So that is basically the job of a function. And in JavaScript, basically, if you want to define a function, or if you want to, create a function, you first of all have to start with the function keyword. Then you have the function name. Let me call it fun name. This is the name of the function. Then you have the curly braces that will receive the parameters or the input which you'll be using to execute that very task. That will come in here. So let me put it as input. So the function input will come in here. So if you'll be needing two inputs, you have to put them in there in that bracket. If you'll be needing three inputs, depending on the input or the parameters you'll be using to execute your function. And then after that, we have a curly braces. This is where the function body will go into. So function body comes in here, and everything you want to do, the manipulation, the calculation, your logic, your looping, and everything you want to do, you want this function to do, you actually have to write them within this function body. Now this is in the basic form what the function looks like in JavaScript. And quickly I will go to my code editor and create a basic function which job is to get the sum of two numbers, and we get to see how that works real quick in JavaScript. So quickly I will go to my code editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code Editor. You can actually create or make use of any code editor of your choice, but for this very demo I am actually making use of VS Code Editor. For this very demo you can make use of you can use Atom if you have that. You can make use of IntelliJ if you have that, or any code editor of your choice. You can even make use of Notepad++. Okay, now good. Um, since this is actually a JavaScript uh, function I'm creating, so I have to create a file where I'll have this my function in there. And since I'm creating a JavaScript file, I have to make this have the .js extension kind of, because it's actually going to be a JavaScript file. So let me close this other side of my window so I can have enough space and increase my code so you can quickly see that. Um, okay, let me just create a folder here on my desktop. I call it function, and then I drag and open that on my VS Code editor. I think it's better I go this way. Okay, I currently have an empty folder with nothing in there with the name function, and then I will create a JavaScript file. You click on the new file tab over there, and then let me call it test.js. Remember I said it's a JavaScript file, so you should have the .js extension. If you're using a Java, you use the Java extension. If you're using Python, or if you're using C++ or C# or using JavaScript, it has the extension of .js. Okay, so this is my JavaScript file. So the function will go into the file, and then remember the file has to be in a folder. So that's how the flow works. Now, I said I want to create a function that will accept two numbers and then sum those two numbers for me. Remember, just like we have it on the board. Where is that real quick? Let me bring it up here. Okay, so I have to write the function keyword, then give the function a name, the input parameters, and then the body goes next. So let me follow that approach real quick. So I have the function, then I open my parentheses. I have to write the function name first before my parentheses. So let me call it sum numbers. You can see my naming convention here. This is called the Pascal naming convention, where I start with a lowercase and then every other word preceding will have to start with the uppercase. This is not allowed in JavaScript. I cannot give space on my naming. This is not allowed, so I have to combine them together, and starting the next word with uppercase will tell anybody using this that okay, we kind of make the reading very clear to anybody who is reading this. So now this function actually accepts two numbers because I want to sum them up, and so let me call those number one, number one, and number two. Okay, so that is that. And then remember, I said within the curly braces, which is the function body, I will execute my function logic in there. Now, let me create a result. Let the result to equal number one plus number two. This is number two, not that. Okay, now I've summed up my numbers. I've summed up my input parameters within this function, but I actually want this function to sum up those numbers and return me a value. So for me to get a value from this function, I have to use the return keyword. So I will say return result. So this is fine. I've created my function and I have declared what this function is supposed to do. I have defined out within my function body, and the function is going to return a result. Now, wherever I want to make use of this function, or wherever I need this function, all what I need to do is to call on the function. Just call on the function, and every of the logic this function is meant to do, every of its operation will get executed wherever you call the function. And if it's returning a value, it will return a value back to you wherever you call this function. And quickly, let me go to my board and show you how to call a function. Okay, so now this is how we declare a function in JavaScript. Now for us to call a function, all what you need to do is, call the function name. For in our example here, I have the name fun underscore name. So this is my function name, and then I put my bracket. So when calling the function, you don't need to put the function body. All what you need to do is call the function name, and then you put your curly braces. Now, if the function takes this, if the function have some input parameters, you have to pass in those parameters wherever you're making the function call. But if the function does not have any input parameters, just like in here, you can just put your empty bracket in there. So now for this very scenario, we have to put in the input parameters for this function call, because we have some input variables within our function parameter field. So back to my example here on my code editor. So when I call on this function, which is sum numbers, then I put in the open curly braces. So this function actually requires two numbers two parameters which I'm currently adding. So wherever I'm calling this function, I have to pass in those parameters. So I should pass in any number of my choice which I want to sum them together. Let me pass in 9 and 12. So by this point, I've called on this function. I'm passing in two numbers. Now this function is actually returning me a value. It's returning me the sum of the two numbers I'm passing in as a function argument. So we want to get the value this function is returning and storing it, and I want to store it in a variable. So let me call it let number, or let me give it a name. Let my numbers. Let me put my number sum to equal whatsoever this function is returning. Okay, now whenever I console log my number here, this will return me the sum of the two numbers I'm passing into this function. So let me quickly print that on my terminal. Console log my number. So let me quickly increase my screen a little bit so you get to see my code, and I can open up my terminal so we see the result real quick. So I click on the terminal button up here, new terminal, and let me drag my window a little bit. So I have Node installed on my machine, so I can run this very JavaScript file using my Node JavaScript runtime engine. So all what I need to do is to write the command node and then the name of the file test.js. So once I run this, and I have 21 printed on my console because I'm trying to sum two numbers, which is 9 and 11. So basically this is the job of this function. It's summing up any two numbers I'm passing in and it's returning me a value. So that is basically the job of a function. If you want this to subtract number, all what you need to do is to put your the minus sign in there, and this will subtract two number for you. And if you want it to multiply number, you just have to put it like that and put your multiplication symbol. So that is basically how a function, what a function is in JavaScript. That is how you define a basic function, and that is how you can call your function, pass it a number, and return a value, and then you can store that value anywhere. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sticking with me up to this very time. I want you to comment, like the video, subscribe. You can post your comment. If there's anything you actually have to say about this video, you can put it on the comment section down below. And if you're here to subscribe, please subscribe to this channel. And thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.